Chapter 1, Woes of Humanity. Zumani wore cream-colored robes. He was considered short at 5'9". The average height was now 6'1". The global boom in nutrition had greatly affected human height. He was lean, with no fat, but walked as if he did not notice. His hair was all gray. He did not mind. Never colored it. He was very black, ebony. He spoke with a loud voice. The most prominent feature that people most remembered about him was the permanent scowl on his face. His face forever suggested action and determination. When not serious, his laugh was loud. When serious, he never laughed. It was a contradiction. He'd been helping people read and provoke their thoughts for 5 years at the School of Enlightenment. He walked briskly into his class, a large room seating 30 in a circle. He had, however, only accepted 27 students to be in his class for his 4 months reading and discussion course, but he had over 1,000 students via the internet, and they would all be involved in this class. There was no grading at the School of Enlightenment, only a certificate saying one read at the school. He took his seat. It was 8:50 a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, let us continue. Let us continue about this question of suffering. What causes suffering? Why do we continue to suffer? We have conquered hunger globally. Everyone has something. Yet still we hear of conflict there, conflict here, riots over there, yet nobody is starving. We all have what is with us humans. Jealousy and envy, those with less envy, those with more. Even those with less are at a living standard hitherto unknown in human history. Ah, heir to a fortune, so you think all these other humans envy and are jealous of you, Mr. Trollope. They all want a piece of what your father built. Why were their fathers lazy? Why didn't they struggle like your father? Now they are envious, sins of their fathers, commented Zumani. But I can afford a round trip around Mars. They cannot, so they feel that is not fair. My father never cheated anybody. He was born a nothing in Los Angeles. He was an engineer. He went through the apprenticeship program, worked and did his degree at the same time, never went to any fancy university. Apprenticeship programs are for those who cannot afford ridiculous university fees, paying back for 10 years. He had insight. He worked for Avion rockets. He showed them his magnetic field propulsion, and they scoffed. He quit, had nothing, was already in debt, but luckily some venture capitalists took his idea seriously. Now, a trip to Mars takes 5 days instead of 3 months. The moon is 9 hours away. Why should he feel guilty? Why should I? Too much. I have too little. Patents ran out. The whole humanity has benefited. Yes, they are not thinking of the benefits provided. They only hear of our bank accounts, and they get envious. Trollope looked straight at Zumani's eyes, smiling. Zumani gracefully nodded his head slightly to the left. Is James right? Those with less wealth are jealous? He deserves his father's wealth. Indeed, his father deserved it. He gave so much to humanity. The rest just create their own suffering because they are jealous? A young lady from Sierra Leone began to speak. Her skin was golden, mixed. Her name was Cynthia Bangura. In a way, James is right. It is envy. And this envy stems from thinking and not accepting things, desire and comparing. The Buddha told us the cause of suffering is attachment. Well, James must be suffering greatly. He is attached to his wealth, said one of the class attendees, and there was some laughter. Are you suffering, James? I have my health and can almost have anything I want. The Buddha also said, without health, life is not life. It is only a state of languor and suffering, an image of death. I have my health and some change. I don't feel I am suffering. Maybe the Buddha was not entirely correct, hence we never canonize works, suggested Zumani in passing. But let us hear Our Lady Cynthia out. Thanks, reader Zumani. As I was saying, if people did not grasp so much on the material, what would cause envy and jealousy? Envy and jealousy do cause suffering. These are a direct result of attachment. Are you asking people not to be human? Asked Rodriguez Carmen, an ex-military man in his 50s from Mexico and now a member of the Mexican opposition. I mean, humans will always desire, but does that mean they're envious if the system is against them? It seems we still have not overcome feeling of being boxed into classes. It's hard to be rich, and once you are, the system protects you. forgetting that it is the same system one had to overcome. Buddha was unrealistic, asking us to deny that we have flesh. Maybe, cut off an elderly man in his 70s. John Rainier, a Frenchman, his white hair thinning, but not a bald patch on his head. He was tall, 6'7", and slender, an ex-miner who won worldwide fame for his book, Dangers of Deep Mining, a book showing the dangers of extracting iron from the Earth's mantle. High-paying and extremely dangerous occupation. After 5 years, these miners could earn what a normal miner could take 30 years to earn. 10% were fatally injured, 22% left as crippled. He had taken his money and invested in mining companies, and now just enjoyed the luxury they brought. The shares kept on climbing as the world's population pushed towards 20 billion. Maybe suffering stems from not loving our neighbors as we love ourselves, as Jesus said. Why harm another if we love them? Nicely put, Jean. Zumani seemed to agree. How can we love our neighbors when there is so much fear? Fear is what drives the rich to make laws that protect them. They fear losing those riches. How can a man who fears other people ever love? Fear of losing their positions and possessions that they are attached to means billions must suffer. Hypothetically, the Buddha was right, though we must accept that we are flesh, and Jesus was right, though he himself falls into the same trap as the Buddha. We are flesh, emotions, desires drive us from the day that 14-year-old boy tells that 14-year-old girl that he wants her. Desire is ruling him. He wants her, and damn everything else. Later on in life, he wants that position. Anything in his way is shoved over a cliff if that be the solution of his desire. And now, not only the rich, ordinary folk, they would push each other over a cliff for 1 hour of overtime. They use connections to get jobs and complain that the rich use connections when they are doing exactly the same thing, except in a petty way when it comes to financial reward. The rich and the poor are the same. They all fear not getting ahead. We have to find a system that recognizes humans as they are, a system with checks and balances, checking our desires, such that we do not kill each other and are punished when we cheat others and deprive them because they are our betters. Rodriguez brushed his hair with his right hand and, smiling, feeling content with himself. "You look content with yourself, Carmen," spoke a blonde girl, Samantha Powers. She was in her mid-30s, a consultant with the UN, born in Switzerland, but grew up in Turkmenistan, as her father worked for a bank there, a top manager. The bank, the largest in the world, never liked its banks to be run from people from the same nation as the branch was. They believed this created impartiality. The bank was truly multinational, though its primary listing was the New York Stock Exchange. It was also listed in London, Shanghai, and Kanza, a city built in Kenya after 2030, the most modern in Africa. No one's citizenry owned more than 10% of the bank. Some would say being content is the key to not suffering. Great philosophers have said that. Maybe as we human beings, we should be content with what we have. Nonsense! This is just propaganda of the rich, saying we should be content with our lot whilst they push ahead. I don't buy it. We are flesh, I tell you, with eyes and senses. Carmen is right. Be content, my foot. Just like the Christian priests telling us we should accept our lot as the kings and queens are from God. They should feast and we accept our lot. Absolute garbage, spoke Bharat Bhai Shrimali. I am a Dalit from India. Even today I cannot exist there as a human. They tell me it is the will of the gods that I clean their toilets. I got a doctorate in physics. I cannot teach there. I should be content to clean toilets, all a con. I have proved I am better than them. I won all the awards. I discovered stuff. But I should be content to wipe their arses? No, a con. I will never accept that argument, Sam. Never content. He spoke with such vermin. I have desires. I am human. I will not renounce that I am human. I don't want to be a Christ, a Buddha. I am here on earth. Get out of my way. If I am better than you, don't come with your funny things, like I should be content with my lot, that you kindly allow me to exist to clean your toilet. I exist. Here I am in flesh and blood. Who are you to say I exist to serve you? Bullshit. Everybody by now knew Bara, as he was known, involved in countless movements that had organized riots worldwide, involved in bringing about progressive laws, enshrining equality before the law worldwide, all this whilst pursuing his physics theories, writing from his head as he could not afford a laboratory. He brought wormhole theory to its present stage, now that experiments could be carried out, all whilst involving and fighting for the oppressed against laws that protected the rich and powerful. Once the most wanted man by the UN and Security Council, now one of the most revered humans. He was in his mid-50s. "You don't get me," began the reply of Sam Powers. "Maybe you do not want to be Christ or Buddha-like, but if we aspired as human beings to be Christ-like, Buddha-like, surely suffering on earth will be reduced. And by the way, Bara, you acted as the Bhagavad Gita said, fight the good fight and do not think of victory or defeat. One could say you are an inspiration from the gods, however, humans follow by example." Imagine if our political leaders acted as though they loved other human beings. Would we not all follow the simple fact of accepting each other as human beings? What is so wrong with that? After all, we are all here together to talk of making the world a better place. Christ and Buddha just wanted us to accept each other as human beings. "Excellent, Samantha. Beautiful," exclaimed Zumani. "True, we should treat each other as human beings, but do we not do that already? There are classes, always classes. We are designed that way. Those in the upper ruling elite structures get the luxury and can exist in opulence. The elite, sometimes by money or by birth, will always be given every opportunity. Suddenly you see people of certain ethnic backgrounds shooting to the top as top thinkers, when all they are doing is saying gibberish. And after every crisis, they rename themselves as the new thinker, new economic thinkers, new social thinkers. The same people who create the mess rise as the new thinkers to solve the mess. That is why the Nobel Prize lost all credibility over 30 years ago. These people cannot accept that somebody else can think better than them. Some argue this has been going on for over 2,000 years. Always the same bloodlines come up with a solution they caused. Any other voice is shut off. Censorship of the internet. It was illegal to hear Bara talk in any society, as all belong to the UN. Yet all he was saying is, we are all human beings. Violence was necessary for us all to be accepted as human beings. The world supported Bara, but the elite tried to turn the whole world against him, and they failed. They will never accept we are all human beings unless they are all burnt, wherever they are found, and burnt simply because they are truly evil. Only thinkers in the world, this might seem radical, but it is reality, and then we have a new world based on talent, ability, not backing of arms, state, or media control given to you by corrupt government officials. Then that media you control says, your cousin is smartest. What a fantastic madness. Thus spoke Osama Musa, a radical thought leader from Indonesia, but now based somewhere in the Andes in South America. But if we burn evil people, are we not being just like them evil? Asked Sam politely. It doesn't matter if they rise up and say those who burnt them are evil and they were innocent. They know themselves, they are not innocent. They know what they are doing, what they have done. They rob the world's people of dreams, of inspiration, of hope, and say all hope lies with them. They rob humanity of dignity. It does not matter if afterwards survivors say they are innocent. We all know that to be false. They lie, create chaos. It does not matter what they say afterwards. You can't be evil for getting rid of evil. Evil will always claim innocence, and at worst claim to be a force of good. The manifest destiny was a force of good. Kill all Native Americans, but that evil is obvious. Evil that plays with people's brains is beyond evil, whilst they all take wealth. Because they expect you not to care. When you speak up, they will say you are the evil one. All sorts of lies, like jealous, envious. Yet they are the jealous and envious, stealing the world's minds because they were never ever capable of having their own minds, so they steal others and claim it as theirs. Then in the past say they are genetically more intelligent for stealing the world's ideas and not acknowledging. Bizarre evil, absolutely bizarre. Burn them all, I tell you. Genetically born to have a higher IQ. Thieves go to endless lengths to justify theft, Sam. You can never change people dispossessed towards evil. Call me whatever you like, you just can't. Then they go around saying they are hated, ignoring the endless theft they are undertaking, both materially and intellectually, and thereby spiritually and emotionally at the end. Everybody else's life has no meaning or purpose except to serve them, replied Osama. But how do you tell who is who? Asked Fareed Jordan, an African-American. He worked his way up the black Muslim religious order, never got to the top, left the order to start a business farming organic food in the deserts of China, and became a multi-billionaire, his fortune estimated around 30 billion units, putting him in the top 10,000 of humanity's wealth. He was chubby and always had a puzzled look, as if he did not know what was going on. Some said his face resembled that of a scared soldier, who instead of firing back, throws his gun away and hides whilst the real soldiers fight back. You cannot tell who is who. There is no one ethnic group ruling, a small clique. Look at me. Started with a small little farm on land nobody wanted. Used the techniques from a Chinese scientist who still owns 5% of the company I founded. I own 20%, but I gambled. Would I be considered in your conspiracy theory as one to be burned? Those who work for the company I founded are paid, on average, 15% higher than in companies of similar nature. Why? Because it is right. Otherwise, honestly, I would be worth at least twice more. But a man really needs only 500 million to be sustainable. I mean, a subsonic rocket that allows me to move from China to New York in 1 hour costs 100 million. What more does anyone want? I risked all my savings. Do not tell me I do not deserve this. I have financed foundations on new thoughts, and the ideas must be truly new, not some recycled noble guy whose theories went belly flop. No, I only finance ideas that have never been done before. Institutions are not in the business of recycling people who caused a mess. I don't care about competition. That keeps me on my toes. But it does not matter, paying 15% higher. I retain what I consider are the best. Results prove it. Who is it you want to be burnt? I have never told anyone this, but Bara, do me a favor. I asked you to keep this a secret, but you can mention it for the first time here in this group. Our global movement once received its largest donation, 500 million units. It was from Farid. He accepted our fight for equality before the law, when obviously he did not have to do that. He has so much, spoke Bara.